Welcome to Podkey Daily News, your fast brief on security, markets, science, and climate. Europe is dealing with mass evacuations from wildfires. Berlin is reckoning with a deadly Pride attack, and markets are heading into a Fed meeting with unusually weak conviction. The practical theme across all three is the same. Institutions are being tested on preparedness, credibility, and follow-through. Southwest France near Bordeaux is facing major fires, with at least 40,000 hectares burned in one account and temperatures forecast around 38 to 40 degrees Celsius, which raises the risk of further spread. Across France and Spain, evacuations have ranged from roughly 250,000 to more than 300,000 people, and more than 2,000 firefighters, soldiers, and volunteers have been mobilized. Why this matters is straightforward. These are no longer treated as isolated summer emergencies. Officials are explicitly tying the scale and intensity to climate change, while residents are accusing authorities of underpreparing, despite recurring heat waves and known annual fire risk. What to watch next is whether governments move past emergency response and into structural changes on evacuation planning, land management, and fire readiness. In Berlin, police special operations officers shot dead the suspect in the Pride attack after a 12-hour manhunt in Spandau. Authorities say he approached officers with a knife, and the exact sequence is still under investigation. The suspect had driven a van into the Pride crowd and stabbed multiple victims, leaving survivors traumatized and intensifying fears around security at LGBTQ events. The deeper issue is prevention. He had prior arrests linked to attempts to join ISIS, served short sentences, and reportedly completed a de-radicalization program that still failed to stop a later attack. That puts pressure on Germany to explain how extremist intent is assessed after release, how monitoring works in practice, and whether current de-radicalization efforts are measuring the right things. For the LGBTQ community, the impact is immediate. Organizers and survivors are talking about shock, anger, and a lasting sense that queer public spaces remain exposed and specifically targeted. U.S. officials say President Trump ordered a temporary pause on planned airstrikes against Iran to allow diplomatic talks, while Iran has claimed it is suspending its own attacks. That pause is not just diplomatic theater. Analysts point to practical constraints, including pressure on Patriot interceptor stocks and wider readiness concerns, alongside the global risk tied to oil moving through the Strait of Hormuz. The knock-on effect is already visible in energy planning. Countries including South Africa, India, Pakistan, and the Philippines are considering or expanding strategic oil reserves, some for the first time. Building tanks, pipelines, and refining capacity takes years and serious capital. So in the near term, many governments may lease storage instead. If supply tightens again, the old playbook of petrol queues, rationing, and politically painful subsidy cuts could come back fast. Markets are unusually split ahead of the Fed meeting, with Fed funds futures still showing meaningful odds of a rate increase well before the decision, which is not how this usually looks that close to a meeting. The main reason is Kevin Walsh, the new Fed chair, who has kept his outlook largely undisclosed. That means his first communications and first votes are carrying outsized weight. This would matter in any cycle, but it matters more with the Fed's preferred inflation gauge running just above 4% in May, more than double target, and with some regional Fed officials already pushing for quicker action. What to watch is whether Walsh restores the normal pattern of clearer guidance or keeps markets guessing. If the opacity holds, volatility around Fed pricing could stay elevated. In Washington, AI companies are ramping up lobbying fast as regulation starts to take shape around data centers, model vetting, and broader AI rules. OpenAI more than doubled federal lobbying spending to over $2 million in the first half of the year. Anthropic tripled its spending, and Google and Microsoft posted their highest quarterly lobbying outlays since 2020. This matters because the rulebook is still being written, and the companies with the most to lose from restrictive rules are moving early to shape it. At the same time, Meta's new AI-enabled smart glasses are triggering a more public-facing backlash. Privacy advocates say the devices make covert recording too easy, with reported incidents of women being filmed without consent. So the pressure is building on two fronts at once inside government over how AI gets regulated, and in public over where ambient recording crosses a line. A notable neuroscience case is drawing attention because it shows how memory can fracture in very specific ways after brain injury. After a right hippocampus bleed, a patient lost recent episodic memory but still vividly recalled an emotionally charged childhood event, losing a pet canary at a train station. Researchers think the thalamus may act as a gatekeeper, routing emotionally important memories to the neocortex for longer-term storage, which helps explain why older, emotionally loaded memories can survive even when the hippocampus is damaged. The practical importance is twofold. First, it may help families understand that post-injury confusion, impulsivity, or attempts to wander can be neurological disorientation rather than stubbornness. Second, if that memory routing process can eventually be influenced, it could help preserve key autobiographical memories early in Alzheimer's before wider neuron loss sets in. One industry use of AI with near-term practical impact is aviation. Companies are using it to speed aircraft design, simulate factories before building them, and improve production efficiency as Airbus and others try to clear huge delivery backlogs. On the operations side, deterministic AI is being developed to help manage crowded airspace and integrate drones and other new aircraft types in ways regulators can actually certify. Maintenance may be the fastest payoff. Predictive systems can sift engine and airframe data to flag anomalies earlier and help offset a U.S. technician shortfall estimated around 60,000, while AI-enhanced pilot training could also ease projected pilot shortages. The watch point is regulation. The technology is moving quickly, but certification and safety acceptance will decide how much of this reaches commercial scale. In the West Bank, Israeli settler violence near Nablus reportedly included 6 houses torched, 2 mosques burned, and revenge graffiti after deadly killings of Palestinians and Israelis. The Israeli army condemned the attacks but says preventing future mob violence remains difficult, which will do little to ease Palestinian fears about impunity. In South Sudan, the Boma Plateau has been designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its vast antelope migration, a move officials hope will unlock conservation funding and sustainable tourism after decades of conflict. And in Palermo, the city council voted unanimously to phase out horse-drawn carriages in favor of electric replicas, opening a direct clash between animal welfare policy and claims about cultural heritage and driver livelihoods. Those are the developments with the biggest immediate impact and the clearest next questions. You've been listening to Podkey Daily News. This episode was generated by Podkey. Create your own at podkey.fm.
Podkey.